Hi and welcome to another Peter Vaughan seminar on harmonics of the codes. What does that mean? I'm not talking about numbers, even though I'm a numerologist and have been doing so for 31 years. The more you learn about a subject, the more you start to understand how other things are involved with that somehow. Like the spokes to a wheel, the hub, all the spokes come back to that one point from all those areas around the wheel. So we're talking about groups of content of things. We're talking about where you would put something if you're going to group it in the same kind of area with the same kind of things. First group, second group, right down to the ninth group. Then we're going to talk about the zero or the cipher down the bottom. The first group, imagine you've got 9 rooms and you put everything that has a 1 quality in that room. What's a 1 quality? Well, all people called Peter, for example, may belong in group 1 because Peter is a 1 name. All people born on the first day, the 10th day, the 19th day, or the 28th day of a month also would belong to group 1. Why 28? Add 2 and 8 together and you get 10. Add 1 and 0 and you get 1. Reduce, 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 and you'll find out that everything that reduces to 1 belongs in room 1. They stand alone, they've got initiative, they're originators. These are people who are leaders, like to work on their own, be self-employed, be their own boss. The second group, auditing matters, slow and sure. What you've got here is you've got people who take their time on things, and like an auditor, they seem to go through the files and just check out that you haven't been cheating the tax man, for example. They're looking at the finer details. They think, they take their time on stuff, they assess information. They're slow and sure. They go through accounts. They're like jewelers who look at things. They're like brain surgeons. They're like judges, for example, who weigh up 2 sides of a story, and they therefore make up their mind on it. Not that they're always right. The third group, these are the mental objectives expressed. Why do I say mental objectives? Because nobody can do anything without first thinking about it, consciously, even subconsciously. Now, if you've ever done or know anyone who's done a lot of martial arts, because they do things so often the same way, when a particular attack comes their way, without even thinking about it, you might find that they pat a blow coming to the other side and push the energy out the way. They do it without really thinking before they counter with their punch. So group 3, this is where the mind is expressed itself through the body, through oration, through art, through singing, through sport. It's some form of expression, and that's what group 3 are. They are people who express themselves well. The fourth group, I've got here reward for effort, planning for work, plan and work. What does this mean? It means they're down to earth people. They like to work for things. They like to feel secure in their job. So group 4 are people who are practical, like the square. They plan things, they're hard work, they don't like nonsense. You've got to earn their trust. And if you break that trust by telling them lies or taking something from them, you really do hurt them on the inside. These are group 4 people. A 4 name, for example, might be the name David. Just to give you an idea, David adds up to 22. The letters of David add up to 22. Not D-A-V-I-D, which is 5 letters, but the value of those letters. And they come to 22, which is another seminar. But they like reward for effort. One problem with David's though, or should I say people who have a 4 name or a 4 energy, they like get rich quick schemes. So if you get a person, you're in a multi-level marketing business, for example, they'll try and get in and make as much money as they can and not listening to reason. But otherwise, these are your practical people. They like to plan and they like to work. Down to earth people, digging in the dirt, making up buildings, brickwork, blockwork, cooking, anything with raw materials. Group 5, I've got here messenger of information and activity. Why do I say messenger of information? When you look at people who belong to group 5, 5 has the characteristic of being the centre of all other codes or numbers around it. So looking at the groups here, if I was to put, for example, a small drawing, which I'm going to do, just have to reach for my pen. If I put a little over here and I put the 5 in the middle, that little crissy-crossy effect over here is the middle of all other numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6, 7, 8 and 9. And as you can see, 5 is the only digit that actually communicates with all of the other numbers around it. So that's group 5. They express and carry the information, and they're the active ones. Salespeople, sales reps, teachers, anybody who has to communicate with a lot of people. Hence the word, messenger. Group 6, overseers, dictators, managers. Sound familiar? The boss. When you're looking at these particular terms for the group 6 people take charge. Group 6 people are the ones who make most of the money in the world naturally because they push for what they want. They organise groups around them to work for their benefit. It's not that they're mean or they're greedy. What it represents is they know how to make something work better than most other people, and they rise to positions of a supervisor, a manager, like a nurse will look after patients, like a teacher may look after a group of children to help them along the right way. A boss looks over a work area. This is the overseer, the dictator. You're going to find most politicians have this group 6 in their name. Group 7, the 7th group, these are the analysts. The analyst and the spectators or speculators of information. When we're talking about the differences between a group 2 and a group 7, 7 are more mental, thinking, do all the work inside their head. They assess stuff. They don't come up with answers straight away. They accrue knowledge. So they're not looking for the finer points as you will with the number 2. They're looking for the intricacies of knowledge that they put together, and then they express it well. They like things like museums, for example, and have good quality books around. So they've got the information characters here. The 8th group, these are the drivers, the movers and shakers, the power people. Now, a little bit like the 6th, people who seem to be in charge of things. The 8 people are the real pushy ones. You'll find these are the kids at school who are the bullies and the thugs. They're just tough. They become the gang members, for example, and reject society and say, hey, that's not fair, we'll form our own group and we'll look after our own kind, thank you very much. These are the tough people. They're not afraid to take risks. They go out and they just do it because they see the objective and they just go after it. People like Napoleon Bonaparte or the Saddam Husseins, people just go with what they want. They're not all bad, those guys might be, but we're looking at people who are in fact the shakers of the world, people who get things done. Like a Donald Trump, for example. Makes his empire because he says how it's going to be done. Oh, you're all fired. In the 9th group, interesting that all of these components here are a component of group 9. Therefore, group 9 is the one group that understands every other aspect of the others. Here then, the caretaker, the philanthropist. These people don't like war. Why don't everybody get on together? What colour do you like? I like all colour. What animal do you like in particular? I like all animals. What kind of things do you like doing? I don't mind. People need my help, I just give them help. They seem to be caregivers of the world. The one problem with being in this group here, although it's a beautiful group, they give too much of themselves, that they give away more than they can really afford to do that. They give away money to people who need help, take people in, and therefore they're forever giving and never getting back. And the old saying about what you give out, what you'll get back tenfold, don't always believe that, because most people's brains are not geared that way. Therefore you can be a fool by giving away. How do you know you're going to get it back? You might say it's the law. Well, that's a lot of trust into something that you really haven't gone and understood. Doesn't always work that way. Look after you first, and everything else will come and work for you in your own life. But understand yourself. My work involves understanding people. So if you want to find out more about who you are, go and visit my site. Get a profile report. It covers all the aspects of your makeup, and it gives you a forecast, a forecast into the future, and you can trust it. I've been doing this for a long time now, 31 years, and I've had such a good following of people purely because it's accurate. petervaughan.net, that's the website to go to, www.petervaughan.net, and you'll get me. Down here, the cipher, and understanding the cipher, I've covered the numbers 1 to 9, but the 0, the nothing, the something and nothing. Here I've got a whiteboard eraser. Now, this is a solid object, but it's occupying a space in this room, perfectly the same shape and the size of this duster. The point being is that this cannot exist without being in that space. So if this thing were to magically disappear, I wouldn't have a space here, it would disappear with the object. You can't take away from this without taking away the space that it belongs into. You can't have something with its complete polar opposite. You can't have an up without a down, a left without a right. You can't even have the inside of a cup without there being an outside. You can't have a front without a back. Everything, therefore, has a polar opposite. So if I said, well, what's the opposite to pen? It's got a top and a bottom. It's got a front and a back, depending on how you're looking at it. It's got a left and a right. Ooh, there's even an inside, because there's an outside. But what's the entire opposite to pen? No pen. Everything has an opposite, even its name. So, looking at the cipher here then, I've got 1 over cipher, 1 over 0. 0 into 1 doesn't go. They're one or the other, like in a computer program, ones and zeros. You can't have one without the other. 1 into 0, that also doesn't work. So it just means it's a complete polar opposite. It's the no thing with the thing. It's the understanding and experience. So when you have an experience, you don't know why that happened, and you sit and you contemplate it, you reason with it. This particular way of looking at something says using reason with your mental faculties, knowing without a fact that something went on. It's the unseen or the opposite of what went on when you don't know. It represents the 0. So if a person was born on the 10th day of the month, they are a leader, they've got originating ability, and they seem to get information from the nowhere. And that's how you start to pull numbers together, understanding that it's the one thing with the no thing. And that's why a lot of people who are born on the 10th day of the month are more inventive than quite a few other people. Interesting point. But that's the harmonics of the code seminar. Hope you found a little bit of it interesting. Check out my other ones. Website, www.petervaughan.net. See you there. Come again and see my other seminars. Thanks for watching and listening in.